Hello my friends, this is Lionel Anderson with you guys with a brand new YouTube BitChute video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Jeffrey Epstein. That's right, 3 million files of the Epstein documents came out, last week, and it's been causing quite a lot of controversy here, and a lot of people been wondering what old Lionel's opinion on all this is. Well my friends, we're going to go over all that today. Is this nothing more than just a psychological operation? Or is this even deeper? Is this a psyop and a distraction? Oh, my friends, you're not even going to believe what's truly going on here. So let's just get right into it. Just going to encourage you guys to hit that subscribe button. As I say, subscribe to survive. And also smash the like button because it helps old Lionel out with the algorithms. And maybe you'll get to see my videos if you hit the button. I'm heavily shadow banned, okay? So smash that like. All right, my friends. So I'll tell you exactly what I think about these Jeffrey Epstein files, okay? 3 million just got released. Another 3 million will be coming at some point, most likely. And when will that be? When they're ready to do it, when they're ready for another distraction, okay? Because what we're got going on right now is one big distraction. All right, and we're going to get into what the distraction is all about. But my friends, what you're witnessing, as interesting as it all may be, seeing all these emails and stuff, I'm pretty convinced this is just one big psyop that was already pre-planned, because as you can see, everything that's come out, yeah, there's some disturbing details and certain people being connected and whatnot. But are you going to see any arrests? Are you going to see any direct evidence of these things and any justice being brought? No. A lot of it is just hearsay. A lot of it is just accusations that were made by people who reported things that happened, but there's nothing to back it up. A lot of the emails, like with Bill Gates and Elon Musk, talking with him, Howard Lutnick, Bill Clinton, all this kind of stuff that we pretty much already knew. But it's all just showing that they were hanging out and their buddies. Yeah, Bill Gates and the STDs and the Russian girls and stuff. Okay, great. We got some information to expose these people. But do we have information to lock them up and throw them away? Any justice? No. Why? Because they're not ever, okay? The government is never going to bring justice upon themselves. Okay, Trump is not going to lock up his buddies or himself for whatever stuff they were involved in, okay? Did you hear Trump saying, oh, I like Bill Clinton. It makes me mad people are attacking Bill Clinton, he just said the other day.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me.
Okay? And he's telling people, just forget about it, move on. Imagine that, only 1 week after these documents come out, and he's getting upset when reporters are asking about the Epstein stuff, saying, you guys gotta move on, stop focusing on it.
And you tell me something else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else, really.
He's mad, still pretty much calling it a Democrat hoax, okay? So there you go. It's got people obsessing about what's in there. And look, it's some messed up stuff that went on still. There's still stuff that you could find in there that obviously should be exposed. All right? But if you think for 1 second it's going to bring any form of justice, that they would release anything that would get one single person locked up and any justice brought, forget about it. There's a reason they've been sitting on it for so long, and there's a reason they dumped it just right now, okay? But they're not going to release anything to incriminate anyone. Never forget, this is Trump's buddies that he's protecting. This is the elites, okay? It goes way beyond Trump. This is the elites who are involved. They're not going to allow anything to come out that would be too damaging, okay? But just enough to keep people distracted, to keep people fighting and arguing, the left, oh, Trump, and then the right, oh, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Mark Carney and everything. They're just going back and forth, fighting with each other and stuff, and they're distracted. Meanwhile, what are they distracted from? Well, my friends, the collapse that's happening as we speak, and that's another thing that these Jeffrey Epstein files were designed to do, was to collapse this current system. Oh yeah. So what do I mean by that, you may be wondering? Well, within the documents, there was a lot of powerful people who were connected to Epstein in finance and stuff, okay? The bankers and stuff. And even we're seeing he had some connections to Bitcoin, okay? So, my friends, this is all planned out. Again, part of the psyop. Not saying that Epstein didn't have connections with these people and meetings and funded some of this stuff. Absolutely he did. But this was all planned out to happen for all this stuff. It was part of his blackmail operation, you could say. All this stuff was meant to come out at a certain time. Whether these bankers and stuff knew it or not, Mossad did. Jeff did. Okay? Because they want to tear down the system. What have we been talking about? They're going to do a financial reset. It's part of the Great Matrix Reset agenda. Okay? And we see it. We see how the dollar is losing its value every day. We know they want to go to the new digital system. Okay? We know that. So we see all this crazy stuff happening in the world. Of course, silver was at all-time highs, and all of a sudden when this stuff came out, silver crashes, gold crashes, but Bitcoin crashes too. And we see in the files that Jeffrey Epstein funded some of the people who were involved with Bitcoin back in 2015. And you know what? Like, from what I've seen so far, a lot of people are like calling Bitcoin pedo coin and trying to say that he funded 70% of the core developers and blah, 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 blah. A lot of this is misinformation and being way blown out of proportion. Bitcoin was made and put out there in 2009. And I think he didn't fund people until 2015. And it was less than $1 million. It was like 800,000 that he gave to MIT or something. Yeah, he contributed. There are connections there. He was involved with the crypto world, because you got to realize Epstein wasn't just a child trafficking evil guy like that. Like, he was that, but that wasn't all he was involved with. He was involved with arms trafficking as well. So, involved with guns and weaponry. He was involved in, obviously, technology, transhumanism. He was involved in many different fields, okay, my friends? It wasn't just that one horrible, disgusting area. He was all over the map, having meetings with all sorts of people. So yes, he was involved with certain things. But this was all planned out. The narrative to throw Bitcoin under the bus. Some are saying he was Satoshi Nakamoto, the secret guy who created Bitcoin. And when in reality, Satoshi Nakamoto was actually a team of people. There was multiple people who created Bitcoin. It wasn't just one person. But they're trying to make it seem like, oh, it was Jeffrey Epstein. We don't have any evidence of that. We got fake emails going around trying to say, oh, it was Jeffrey, when it's been proven to be fake AI-generated photos. But this is all part of the narrative because they want to crash Bitcoin. Okay? Because right now, the whole crypto market follows Bitcoin. Okay? But you see, Bitcoin is an old technology. It really is. It's the first crypto coin, and it's not a utility coin. And it was, some say Bitcoin, BTC, stands for beta test coin. Okay? So they pumped it up, they got it to those high numbers and everything, and it carries the rest of the market with it. But when the time is right, which is now, they're going to crash it. And I've known this for a long time. I follow a guy named Jake Claver, okay? And he's been saying since last year that this big reset's pretty much going to happen, and that the Epstein documents would come out, and Epstein would be involved, and it would crash Bitcoin. Okay, because Claver's, he's well known in the crypto world, kind of an insider. He talks with all the big guys there. But he's been saying that since last year, and sure enough, it's happening right now. But guess what? In the Epstein documents right there, we see Epstein emailing with somebody, and as you could see, he says Ripple and Stellar are a threat to our ecosystem. Their ecosystem, they're referring to Bitcoin, but they say Ripple and Stellar. So Ripple is XRP, as I've been telling you guys, and Stellar is XLM, as I've been telling you guys as well. And they're making it seem like this was a threat to the Bitcoin and everything. So why are they doing this? Why is this being pushed out there? Because they're going to crash Bitcoin. All the money is going to end up transferring into the XRP, and that's going to rise as the new main one. Bitcoin in the future is going to do good still too. They're going to get rid of all the people who were involved with Epstein, and eventually Bitcoin's going to go back up again as well. But XRP is called the flip of the switch, and it's going to be the new main coin. You're going to see it going from, what is it, like $1.30? Eventually it'll go from this low level to $1,000 overnight, making many people millionaires, okay? But the reason they're doing this is because this is the transferring of the new system. So it's not just because of this Epstein stuff, but this is the catalyst for the whole economy to collapse even further, okay? Because that's what we've been seeing since this happened. Interesting, because Trump announced the new nomination for the Fed chair on the same day that the Epstein stuff pretty much came out, which he was involved in as well, going to Epstein's Island, this Kevin Warsh guy, all right? And this guy, he's pro-crypto and has connections to Ripple and Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff too. So they're putting in a new Fed chair who will be in, who knows, the next couple months. We got this Clarity Act, which is making regulations for the crypto in America about to be passed soon here as well. So all this stuff is being set up for the new financial system. The last thing that needs to happen before everything goes digital, okay, or at least a massive part of this agenda goes into full motion and we see XRP shoot up these high levels, we need a black swan event, okay? That's right, a black swan event. And that will be the biggest trigger. You see, everything else has just been leading up. And as soon as this black swan happens, we will see major changes in the financial system. So what is this event? Well, my friends, could it be Iran? You see what's going on here with Iran, my friends? Yeah, any day now. Shit is about to pop off with war with Iran. They've been building up tensions for weeks now. Well, the reason they haven't done it yet, because they were thinking that they were going to do some strikes and stuff and the war was going to pop off a couple weeks ago, but it didn't happen. Why is that? Well, my friends, because we're approaching eclipse season. And what happens when these eclipses come around? That's when new wars pop off. That's right, so February 17th, mark it on your calendar, we got a solar eclipse. We're already starting to feel the energy, all right? And I'm just going to say, be sure to join my Patreon. Link is down below in the description, because I'm going to be speaking more about these eclipses and more about the spiritual side effects and stuff that we're going to be going through on Patreon. So if you want an energy update and stuff, be sure to join that. Link is down below. Exclusive videos you don't get anywhere else. All right. But with that being said, we do have this solar eclipse coming up. Okay. And then shortly after that solar eclipse, we got a blood moon lunar eclipse. Now, wars tend to happen usually closer to blood moon lunar eclipses. So there's still going to be probably massive world events that are going to happen with the solar eclipse that's coming up in a couple weeks here. We're going to see stuff. I think the war stuff might be a week or 2 weeks after that, closer to March. Okay? If you think about it, when the whole Israel-Palestine thing popped off, it was a week before a lunar eclipse back in October 7th. Okay? They always wait. You look all throughout history, major wars are always started before lunar eclipses. Okay? So what I'm feeling is going to happen, and obviously I don't have a crystal ball, but I think we're going to see war pop off with Iran. And it's going to obviously crash the economy even further. And yes, it's going to be chaotic times. And this is part of the stuff they want you distracted from. They want you worrying about Epstein and this and that, going back and forth, doing the hee-haw and the seesaw. Okay? Fighting about Epstein, fighting about ICE, all this stuff. Meanwhile, they're going to start this new war, and they're going to totally collapse the system. But I believe that is when, shortly after that, to save the dying system, they're going to come up with the solution, and they're going to switch everything over to the new rails, which of course will be XRP. All right, and then the other ones will follow as well: HBAR, XLM, and all the ISO 222 tokens. Research it. Okay, I believe we're going to see a lot of this stuff happen, and maybe it won't happen overnight. It might be gradual over the next couple of years, the transfer over to the new system. Some stuff might happen overnight, and other stuff might take longer to play out, okay? Now, obviously, none of this is financial advice, but it's financial awareness. Do your research and start pivoting now. Don't wait till it's too late, and then you're stuck on a CBDC stablecoin system where you're a slave, right? There's an incredible opportunity here where you can invest in the new financial system before it gets to prices that the public won't be able to purchase it at, and you could secure yourself for the future, okay? So do your research, but this is what's happening. They're using the Epstein stuff to collapse this old system to bring in the new, which they're already showing in the files, that Ripple and Stellar were what Epstein was afraid of. So they're making that the go-to coin, so everything will flow into that, okay? But that ain't it, okay? Because this is all huge stuff, but why is this all happening? Why is all this stuff happening, my friends? Well, we have an even bigger problem on our hands. And that is we're going through a pole shift right now. That's why the whole system is resetting, because humanity is about to go through some insane things, okay? Dangerous things. And let me tell you something right now. This crazy weather we're having on the earth right now, a lot of people, again, another psyop is, oh, the government's doing it, weather manipulation and stuff. They're the ones who are causing it. Which, look, I know there's weather modification, stuff like that, but what you're seeing right now is due to the pole shift, okay? It goes way beyond anything humans can do with their technology. And they want you distracted with every little psyop thinking, oh, it's climate, you know what, it's because you're driving your cars around, going on airplanes, and cows farting. So they got those people suckered into that. And then they got the conspiracy truthers out there. No, it's them. They're the ones doing it with HARP and blah, 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 which is just another psyop. And then we have all the Epstein stuff. We have all the chaos, the wars, to keep you distracted from the changes that are happening within our realm. Okay, and it goes so deep, my friends. And it's happening now. And all this stuff is going to trigger... Okay, wait, before we get into that, I got to show you a clip, just so you understand what's going on, okay? Take a look what's going on in Japan right now. The snowfall that they just got, okay? And then we're going to get into my next point, but take a look. 6 feet of snow in Japan in some places. All right? In Cuba right now, the temperatures is 0 in Cuba, freezing temperature. People are on there going for vacations and stuff and thinking they're going to be sitting on the beach and it's freezing weather. The United States just got hit by the biggest storms that they've ever seen. Okay, winter storms, or the biggest in hundreds of years. In Europe, we have tons of snow and stuff. I know in Germany right now, there's a lot of snow, and it's not usually like that. Meanwhile, where I am in Canada, usually every year in January, it's freezing cold right now. But guess what? We've been having plus temperatures for the past 2 weeks. I'm going outside, it's plus 5. Usually it's like minus 30. Hasn't been snowing. It's like, holy crap. We did get snow this year, but just the past couple weeks, past month, really, it's been beautiful. It usually isn't like that. And then other places where it's usually beautiful, it's snowing. Why? It's a friggin' pole shift, okay? The poles are shifting. We are entering a period of colder weather, a mini ice age, my friends. That's what's happening. Why? It all has to do with the sun. We're going into what's known as a Maunder minimum. Less sun activity brings colder temperatures, more extreme earthquakes, volcanic activity, which we all see on the rise. And there's evidence goes even deeper that this is happening to the entire solar system is going through a pole shift, and a lot has to do with the Nibiru reset, okay? But let's get back to the main point here. What do you think is going to happen? Like in Japan right now, they got 6 feet of snow in some places. In other places in the world, when it's usually nice, but now we got freezing temperatures. What's going to happen to the crops for the growing season next year as things get colder and colder? Guess what? You're not going to have enough food. We're going to have food shortages because you can't grow food in places where we're used to growing the food. They want you distracted. They don't want you preparing for the future. They certainly don't want you investing into the new financial system. They want you broke and they want you dependent on the state, on the government. That's why they're bringing in the crickets and the bugs that they want you to be eating. Why? Because you're not going to be able to eat meat and stuff like that because there's not going to be enough food to go around because of the food shortages. They're not going to be able to feed the animals food themselves because it just won't be available, okay? We're going to have to go into a system of food rationing between the wars that are going to be popping off and all this changes in the weather. There's going to be food rationing. And how are they going to do this all? Well, if you're on a digital system, it's going to be easier with their carbon credit score system, right, to control and do the food rationing, how much you eat, and to control the chaos that's going to break out because of all this. All right? The only people who will be able to eat meat still or be able to eat good food, I should say, good quality food and not the crickets and the crappy food, are those with wealth and who have money. So the elite class, and if you make the smart financial decisions now, get out of that dying system and pivot now, well, you're probably going to do pretty good for yourself and be comfortable. But the slave class, the peasant class, you guys are really going to suffer, unfortunately. And you're going to have your CBDC, your universal basic income, and you're going to be on a food rationing program and eating just basic foods that they'll pretty much be able to make in a lab. And it's gonna get rough, my friends. And this is just the beginning of it, okay? Of the pole shift. Things are just heating up, okay? Or should I say cooling up? And it's not getting warmer, it's getting colder. As we get into the 2030s and then the 2040s, it's gonna get bad. And once the Nibiru event happens, which, I don't do dates, but I'm thinking sometime in the 2040s, be a cataclysmic event. That's why they're depopulating people leading up to it. There's going to be more plandemics, or maybe legit pandemics that will happen, not just little test runs like what we saw before. But there's going to be that combined with wars, major depopulation events. We're all on the cusp of it because I know a large portion of humanity is going to be dying anyways because of all these events that are going to take place. If you look all throughout history, we've seen these things happen in cycles. So this has happened before. They already know what's going to happen because it's already happened. Large amounts of the planet dies off, and the chaos is incredible because once people don't have food anymore, then chaos erupts. Okay? So they're trying to manage it and control it, depopulate as much as they can because the less people, the less they have to worry about controlling the masses and people rising up to overthrow them. So that's why here in Canada, you got a bad back or something like that, you're in a wheelchair, you just want a little help, maybe you want to get a wheelchair ramp installed, and the government will be like, I can't do that for you, but have you thought of MAID? Assisted suicide? We'll kill you for you. Oh, you got a little bit of depression? Oh, have you ever thought about ending your life? We could help you with that. They want to get rid of the useless eaters. That's what they think people are. I'm not saying that's my words, but that's what they think. They want to get rid of the weak people first and try and get rid of as many people as they can because they know the majority of them are going to be done anyways. Okay? It's just what's happening. But they don't want you knowing that because people would freak out and they'd panic. So what do? They keep you distracted with Jeffrey Epstein. And don't get me wrong, these things are horrible what's going on. Okay? Absolutely horrible. And it does need to be exposed. But don't get so consumed by it that you're not focusing on all the other things that are happening as well. Because as horrible as that is, what are we going to do about it? They sure as hell ain't going to do anything about it. There's going to be no justice. So yeah, we could expose it. Great. We could share stuff, expose this guy, and their name will be damaged. Great. They don't care. Most of them are billionaires anyways. They think nothing of you. They laugh at us. And they're going to continue doing whatever crap they're going to do. Okay? So great. We're aware of it. Expose it. Try to get justice. I'm all for that. But don't lose sight on what's the bigger picture here. Prepare. Get your affairs in order. Get out of the big cities. Find safe places. Stock up on food, water. Stock up on gold and silver if you can. That's going to do great in the future. But obviously, the new financial system, XRB, XLM, HBAR, Algo, Elgrand, all these different things that are going to be used. These are all things that will set you financially free and give you the ability to relocate and prepare for what's coming. And obviously hold it off the exchanges in your own cold hardware wallet so it can't be taken away from you or hacked or anything like that. Okay? Or confiscated. You become your own bank. You hold it. Research this stuff, my friends. Pivot now. Because if you don't, you're going to be forced onto their new system that's coming. Universal basic income, social credit system. You're going to be limited with your carbon credits. Well, guess what? You're going to be able to buy carbon credits in the future. So that's why I say rich people will be able to eat what they want or travel or whatever, but they'll have to buy their carbon credits. The peasant class, which is what they view people, they won't be able to afford to do any of that. All they'll be able to get is their government money, their universal basic income. So if you make the right decisions, you'll have a lot more freedom because you'll actually have what the new financial system is running on, which will be the XRP, right? Research this stuff, my friends, not financial advice. I'm just presenting some solutions, but even those solutions are temporary as well because eventually, if pole shifts are coming, the Nibiru cataclysms and stuff like that, it's possible that, we might lose power at certain points and you won't be able to access the digital services. And yeah, sure, they might come on and off at some point. Who knows if everything's going to go down completely. But until that happens, this will give you an opportunity to prepare, relocate, get physical assets like gold and silver, but most importantly, food and water and stuff like that. But this is the stuff that you got to be doing. You got to be focusing on this stuff. Don't get distracted by all the hee-haw and the seesaw that's going on out there, my friends. Because this is happening. Anybody with two eyes and who aren't totally brainwashed and blind and who can think critically can see that things in our realm are changing. The weather's changing. And the world situation, the wars, everything's going digital, everything's changing, and even the energy's changing. Why? Because of this incoming event. There's going to be a ascension event, there's going to be a descension event as well, and a matrix reset, and it's friggin' Nibiru, my friends, okay? Planet X, whatever you want to call it. It's all these things, and stuff with the sun. Our magnetosphere is weakening, and everything's being reset. You guys have seen my videos. I've been covering this stuff for years now. That's what Epstein is a distraction from. Alright? So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that subscribe button if you did, and stay tuned, because later today we got the Super Bowl. So I'm sure there's going to be a ritual going on, right? There always is every year. So if there's anything I feel like I could decode, I'm going to decode it. And maybe in my Super Bowl decoding video, I might decode the Olympics that we just had as well, because there was a kind of a ritual that went on there too. So subscribe for that. And like I said, if you enjoyed today's video and want to see exclusive content you don't get anywhere else, like I said, I'm on Patreon. Check out the video. I got up on there, okay? That's talking about these eclipses coming out, more of the spiritual stuff, okay? And, or if you'd like, just simply buy me a coffee. I'm on the website, Buy Me a Coffee, and link is down below to that. And as a thank you, I will send you that video and more, a couple other videos from Patreon as a thank you. I always like to give back, all right? All the links are down below. And yeah, that just about does it for today's video. All right, my friends. Thank you for your support. It means the world to me. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. And that's about it. Old Lionel signing off. Best wishes and good luck. Get prepared, my friends. That's all I could say.